Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wellness Wednesday. My name is Carolyn McGee. I am an angelic life coach, Reiki master teacher, and intuitive healer. I am here every Wednesday at noon Eastern to answer your questions, to be of service in any way that I possibly can. This week, we had a lot of questions about how to really step out, what is blocking individuals from really stepping out and being seen and being their authentic self. And it doesn't mean that you have to be, a healer. A lot of times people even run into this in their jobs. They run into it, being shining in their job. So wanted to do a little bit of work about that. But before, like always, I want to start with a card. Oh, and by the way, today is Wednesday, March 16th, 2016. So using Ascended Masters, and let's see who wants to step forward and guide us in our time together. Here we go. I just love the vibrancy and of course the green and all the energy in the heart. It's so beautiful and it's so appropriate. What I was mentioning earlier were those voices in our heads that hold us back. Sometimes it's called the inner critic. Other times you hear people say that I'm sabotaging myself, or you might have a voice that you call your protector that keeps you small, keeps you safe because of past things. All of these voices are part of yourself that need a little bit of healing and a little bit of love. And it's all about the love that's shining out from this Ascended Master's heart. So what I am guided to do today is just do some general tapping and try and make you recognize and perhaps even acknowledge the good in some of those internal voices so that you can connect with them a little bit deeper and maybe come to a compromise. I know it feels a little bit weird, doesn't it? But it actually does work. There's a lot of work out there on voice dialogue. There's also something called enlightened tapping, which can really help you dive into those methodologies a little bit more. But I just wanted to play around with it a little bit. That's what I was guided to do. So we are going to do a lot of tapping today, and let's get ourselves started. So to start with, I am going to ask somebody which voice they typically have the most challenges with. And for this particular segment, we're going to concentrate on the voices, the negative, so to speak, voices. So it would be the controller, the voice within you that holds you back, that tries to control what you do, that controls how much you eat or how much you sleep or what you say, how much you step out into the world, whether you volunteer to do that presentation at work or if you volunteer to take that business trip. It controls your behavior to try and keep you safe. Another common voice that falls into that same category of trying to protect us is also called the protector. This voice is going to be very similar to the controller, where it's trying to protect us. It's trying to keep us safe. Don't cross the street unless the lights are proper, and maybe don't volunteer for that trip because it could be dangerous, or anything else that's just going to try and keep you protected. Or it could be that, really showing your spiritual side has caused you problems in the past. Maybe it's caused an issue in your family that makes you uncomfortable, so you don't like to show that piece of you. So this protector piece stops you from doing that. And sometimes it crosses over everything, so that it's not just in your family that you might not shine quite as brightly. It may be everywhere. Another piece is the inner critic. That piece is, that voice that that tells you should have done it differently, or perhaps you could have done it better. And that inner critic is, again, trying to keep you safe, keep you small. And the last one that we'll probably talk about today, I think we're going to have more than enough to work on, is the inner saboteur. And this voice is the one who creates havoc in your life, perhaps gives you insomnia so that you're really tired when you need to go to work the next day and do that presentation, or the one that has you leave your suitcase as you're getting ready to travel so that you miss your flight. We all have those things that unexpectedly happen. I know my inner saboteur is really great with electronics, and when I am oftentimes doing my writing, which is one of the things that I am working on overcoming my fear with, it all of a sudden my computer slows down. It's actually kind of amazing. And as soon as I have a conversation and do some tapping with my inner saboteur, it's like a miracle, and my electronics start to work again. So having a better touch with these feelings and these voices inside of you can just really help you feel more connected and move forward. And then really start to tap into some of the higher level voices to expand your energy and expand yourself out into the world. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so I'm just going to check and see which voice we would like to get started with. Hold on. It looks like, okay. So we are going to start with a controller. And it's actually a really great one to start with, because the controller really does control everything. It controls all of our voices, and it controls us and how we put ourselves out there. So we're just going to start tapping through the points. And for those of you who are not used to my tapping style, you may hear me hesitate for a second. And that's just when I'm listening to my guides to get what the next round is going to be. So here we go. Let's just start by acknowledging who we are. I am the controller. My job is to control. I control everything. I am very good at my job. I control what she says. I control what she eats. I control what she wears. I control her weight. I control everything. I control her writing. I control what content she puts out on YouTube. I control how authentic she is at work. I control everything. It is my job to protect her. It is my job to keep her safe. It is my job to make sure that she is not hurt. It is my job to keep everything status quo. This is my job as the controller. And I am really, really good at it. I have had years of practice. I am the controller. And I love myself enough to control everything that she does, even though it's exhausting. Okay, so let's kind of shake that out a little bit. Now what I invite you to do is grab a piece of paper. I probably should have mentioned that earlier. So just grab a piece of paper, your notebook, if you're a journaler or something like that, and jot down a few thoughts that came up for you when we were doing tapping about the controller. There's a lot of benefit to really tapping into connecting with that piece of you, the piece that feels a little bit overwhelmed, the piece that does feel like it needs to take control of everything and hold really, really tightly. So by connecting in with that, it's going to help you be able to allow that energy to move and maybe find a way to make that energy feel safer, so that it's easier for you to expand. It's all about connection and recognizing all of these pieces. You know, the shadow self that we call these shadow voices, it's a big part of who we are. It's what makes us human. So recognizing them and acknowledging them and honoring them for all the work that they do to keep us safe allows us to be able to reach out more, because we're not conflicted within ourselves. So hopefully that's making sense. Now, just kind of want to have you move around a little bit in your chair and kind of shake that off. And it looks like the next one, yep, that people want to do some tapping on is the protector. So we're just going to do a little bit of work on that and see what comes up, and then see if we can do some work pulling everything together. All right, let's go. I am the protector. I am the voice of reason. My job is to protect her. I protect her in every way imaginable. I make sure she checks around her car at night. I make sure she locks all her doors and windows. I make sure she doesn't get too big and seen. I make sure that she's very careful about what she writes. It's my job to protect her. I make sure she really thinks twice about her relationships. I make sure that she's careful about how much money she makes. I make sure that she stays small. I am the protector, and I need to make sure that she does not get hurt. My job is to protect and keep the self safe. I am the protector, and I do a really, really good job. My job is to make sure that she doesn't get that promotion. My job is to make sure that she doesn't take that new job. My job is to make sure that she doesn't go on that dream vacation because it could be scary and dangerous. My job is to keep everything the same. My job is to make sure that she completely stops at red lights. My job is to make sure that she does everything the way it should be to keep her safe. My job is to stop her expansion. My job is to protect her and make sure that she doesn't do anything that she did before. My job is to keep her small. Okay, so let's kind of shake that one out a little bit too. And take your notebook or your journal or piece of paper, whatever is most convenient for you, and just take a few notes and write them down there. If you want to put something up on the Q&A box, I'm happy to answer you for that too, or you can join me, share screens, and we can do that. Just let me know if there's something that's coming up for you. And looks like we're kind of quiet in here. Oops. So some of the things that come up for me when I'm tapping on these, and the controller and the protector are very, very similar energies, is that I do honor them, and I'm very grateful. So what I'd like to do before we move into the other two voices is just acknowledge everything that those two voices have done, and I am going to combine them in together, okay? So let's go here. Actually, I'm hearing you guys need another minute to write, so just gonna sit here and be patient and hold space for you while you finish writing down your notes about how the protector has served you and what positives have come from having that energy in your life. Okay, now we are ready to move forward. So I am the protector and the controller. My job is to protect and to control. I don't feel like I get enough credit. I don't know where the self would be without me. It would be very lost. It never would get anything done. It never would get a promotion. It never would have a family. It never would go on vacation. It would just be a puddle on the floor. But do I get any thanks? No, I don't. I try and try and try, and I work 24/7. And it makes me sad that there's so much resistance to me. When will I be acknowledged for all I do? When is it my time to be seen? How can I get her to recognize all of my hard work? What about me? When is it my time to shine? When is it my time to be seen? What if the self recognized me just a little bit? What if we stopped working against each other? What would happen if we all cooperated? What would happen if the self and the controlling piece and the protecting piece worked in unison? How powerful would I be if we were cooperative? How much more energy would I have if we worked together towards a common goal? Okay, so what I would like you to do now is again grab your notebook and jot down some thoughts that came to you on unity, on trying to work together, on recognizing and honoring that piece of you that really is trying to keep you safe, and acknowledging it. So take a couple minutes and go ahead and write down all of those things that are coming into your mind. No judgment. We're going to move into the inner critic in just a second here. But don't just allow yourself to write down your thoughts, whatever's coming into your mind. All right, that's great. And yes, we are moving on to the inner critic. It is an extremely strong voice. So again, I'd like you to kind of shake out your shoulders and just kind of move around a little bit in your seat here. And we are going to tap a little bit with the voice of inner critic and see what comes up for you, and how we can make friends again. All right, here we go. I am the voice of the inner critic. My job is to keep the self small. The way I do this is by bringing in doubt. The way I do this is to criticize everything that she does. The way I do this is to chip away at her confidence. It's my job to keep her safe. It's my job to keep her small. It's my job to make sure that she follows society's rules. It's my job to make sure she doesn't stand out. It's my job to say, Who does she think she is? It's my job to say, too big for her britches. It's my job to say, I can get by. It's my job to make sure that she doesn't stand out. I have a really thankless job. Who really wants to be that negative? But it's my job to be negative. It's my job to keep her safe. It's my job to make sure that she doesn't stand out, because that's really scary. What if she got hurt? What if something really bad happened? What if something bad happened to her family? It's my job to make sure that none of those things happen. And it's a thankless one. I am completely misunderstood. No one knows how important I am. And I feel very alone because of it. Okay, so just kind of shake that out a little bit too. And take a couple minutes again just to jot down some notes about your relationship with your inner critic. The inner critic is often the voice of when you were growing up. It may be your parents, it may be a teacher, it could be your first boss, it's daycare providers, anybody, religious people. If you've gone through any kind of religious upbringing, anyone who had an impact on you and was trying to get you to follow the rules, or giving what may not have been completely constructive criticism at the time, or perhaps we were too young to realize that they were trying to support us, and all we heard was the no or not good enough. So we absorb in that energy, and that's the voice that typically comes out in the inner critic. So just like I said, take this time. I'm just going to kind of hold space and let you know some thoughts that are being downloaded into my head as you are jotting down your notes, but just write down what comes into you. And then in a moment, we are going to do the saboteur, and then we will close with a connecting round of those two energies also. So I'm going to give you another minute. And as you work with these voices and start to feel more comfortable with them, you will actually be able to sit in silence just like I was, without hearing you should be doing something. It's actually a very beautiful, beautiful place to be. Okay, so now we are going to move on to the inner saboteur. And as I mentioned, this is the energy that creates chaos in some way, shape, or form to prevent us from doing something that's very scary, that could hurt us in the viewpoint of that piece of us. So let's start with here. I am the voice of the inner saboteur. My job is to make sure that the self doesn't do anything that can hurt her. She has no idea how scary the world is. I do a great job protecting her. I make sure that she procrastinates. I make sure she gets distracted by the next shiny object instead of working on her dreams. I make sure she doesn't fill out that job application, or she fills it out too late. I make sure she's late for that interview. I make sure she delays putting in a bid on that new house. I make sure that she doesn't eat right, so she doesn't have energy I make sure that she doesn't sleep well at night so that she's not optimal the next day and isn't as successful. I make sure she can't shine. I am really good at my job. I have kept her alive this long. It's my job to keep her safe. And when she's starting to do something that I find is not safe, I am going to stop her. And I am very, very creative in the ways that I do that. I can even mess with her electronics. I am so incredibly powerful. Okay, so those are some of the energies that was coming into me. Thank you, angels, as ways that we, as humans, can allow that voice of the inner saboteur to flow through us. So please take a couple of minutes and jot down some notes on your inner saboteur and the energies that perhaps challenge you. And also maybe some ways of honoring it and in ways that it has kept you safe or brought awareness to certain situations that you really didn't want to pay attention to. So I am just going to sit here and hold space, be quiet for a moment, and allow you to finish writing up your notes. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to do a positive round on the inner critic and the saboteur and bring those energies together. So tapping here. I am the inner critic and the inner saboteur. I never get credit for all that I have done, all of my hard work to keep her safe. All I get is negative feedback. I do like the acknowledgement. It makes me feel good to be noticed. But every once in a while, I would like a thank you. I would like to be recognized that I am keeping her safe, that I am keeping her alive, that I am keeping her moving or not moving, depending on what's safe for her. All those times I kept her sitting on the couch were for her own safety. All those times that she missed events or was late, that was for her safety. All those times I put self-doubt into her head, that was to keep her safe and to make sure she understands. She understands her place. I do this all for love. And I just want to be recognized for that. So what if we all work together? Just a little bit. What if the self recognizes how hard we have worked? What if the self says, thank you for keeping me safe all these years? What if we are given other tools and promises to keep the self safe? How would that feel? And how would that energy move through our body? Would there be less resistance? Would it be easier to make choices? Would life flow with more ease and more grace? What if just for today, I honor all of these pieces of myself and bring them together into love? What if just for today, I acknowledge how important all aspects of me are? What if just for today, I allow peace and contentment to be in my heart? What if just for today, I honor all of me? Okay, let's just kind of shake that out a little bit. All right, guys, you have done some pretty tough work here, acknowledging those 4 separate pieces of yourself and allowing them to have a voice. That's what voice dialogue is all about, is honoring all aspects of ourselves. So I am grateful for you joining me. Would love to hear your feedback. If there's other voices that you feel are important or a challenge and you'd like to do some tapping on those going forward, please feel free to reach out to me, Carolyn at carolynmcgee.com, or my website, carolynmcgee.com, and of course Facebook. Love to connect with people on Facebook. So to close, I am going to invite you to just close your eyes. We're going to do a quick integration here. So I'm going to close my eyes along with you and just do this. So close your eyes. And I would like you to do 7 deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth. And just imagine light moving all the way through your bodies. 7 is the color or the number of the main chakras in the human body. We're not going to go through color work in this exercise. We are just going to light them up. So you can imagine a light switch with each breath, just opening up that area with vibrant white light and clearing it and connecting it and moving on to the next. So here we go. Here's breath number 1. Number 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. And 7. There we go, with our light all bright and shiny inside us and all connected and ready to go. So until next week, thank you.